Welcome to Inside the Creative Mind with Brian Jones. Get ready to dive into the stories, sparks, and secrets that fuel creativity around the world. From musicians to painters, actors to writers, Brian takes you behind the scenes of the art you love. Let's go inside the creative mind.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is going to be a fun ride, so stick around because we have a really talented artist, a painter that's going to be joining us. But I want to put my art knowledge in perspective for everyone. So if you think in the terms of crayons, like Crayola crayons, they come in 8-pack, 16, 24. They go all the way up to, and I did not know this, they go up to 152-pack. I've never seen one of these, but according to the internet, this exists. I'm probably not an 8-pack. I'm going to put me down as like a 16-pack. So I've got a lot to learn. Today, we're going to explore how in modern art, the painting and the painter have become one. It's no longer just about color and technique. It's about identity, story, and lived experience. In this episode, we're going to sit down with a working painter to talk about authenticity, self-expression, and whether the artists themselves have become part of the masterpiece. Let's step inside the creative mind, behind the brush, and welcome Leslie Hiatt to our show. Leslie, how you doing?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. There's so much I want to learn about art. Traditionally, in this podcast, we've done a lot of musicians, and that's another form of art. I want to talk about how those two things kind of interlink. But more importantly, when we were kind of searching through Instagram and we ran across your profile, it really caught our attention. It was different than a lot of the other artists that we looked at. So if you could, tell us a little bit about your style of art, kind of what's your thing, what's your niche, if you will, and why is that the path you chose?
Well, those are very interesting questions, and I've had to ask myself those questions as I've started my journey because I come from a background of theater and acting, performing, set design, and I was looking for a way to continue to express my creative side. And I explored some ideas, but it seemed to me that the most challenging, honestly, was painting. Painting is challenging because when I first started my first year, when you come to a canvas and you pick up a brush, or I don't even care if it's crayons, and you start asking yourself, let's create something, the apprehension is so strong. And so there is a little bit of imposter syndrome and breaking down barriers and discovering who you are as an artist. It's really not as intentional as it is just in the doing.
Mm-hmm.
So just in the creating itself, you learn a lot about your own journey, and then you begin expressing. Now, as far as my niche and how I ended up mostly creating floral scenes, I've tried and dabbled in abstract. I'm terrible at it, which is sort of funny to me because to me, I look at abstract art and it's very subjective.
Mm-hmm.
However, for me, I just couldn't connect with that expression of creativity. And I felt that as much as I tried to go into different brighter colors or certain abstract styles, um, I didn't find that connection. And I thought I would because I'm very much into heavy texture.
Mm-hmm.
But what ended up happening was I kept finding myself drawn to creating things that brought like almost like a portal of beauty back into the world. And I think that just slowly over time became my niche.
Yeah.
Um, Gardens and florals and things that build on the canvas so I can start a background and it can be abstract. There is no intention in the background. But then I start to add my layers and I build, and it becomes so uniquely different from any other piece that I'm creating. And it's not. Um, it speaks to me, and it's kind of where my creative energy just keeps flowing in that direction as much as I've tried to venture. It's sort of just happening through me.
I guess my question is, when did this start? I mean, were you like 5? Were you 7? If I think back to art class when I was in school, I had this
Mhm.
I hope he's not still alive, or he doesn't hear this because he's probably like 95, but anyway. He had this really bad comb over. He was an older guy, and he had this big comb over, and then when he'd lean over to, like, if you were drawing or painting, his comb over would fall down kinda like and land on your shoulder or something, and he was just kinda a weird dude, but he was really he loved art so much, and no matter what I did, he just thought it was amazing, and he's like, "Brian, you have so much potential, and you have so much talent," and I was just, like, trying to get through the class, and it was like an easy A for me. It never caught on where music for me sounds a lot like your painting. I started at 8 years old playing classical piano, and I've spent a lifetime mastering my craft. So take us back to, like, when was that first moment when you thought, "Hey, man, this is something I'm good at, and I really like it?"
Yeah, that's such a fun question because it brings me back to childhood, and who doesn't like talking about that?
Yeah.
Um, so I do recall I grew up in New York, and we had exceptional schools up there. Even the public schools were exceptional. And we had a lot of art, and one of my favorite classes, I think, actually was the origami. We took
Oh, really?
origami, and, I think I was young. I must have been maybe 7 or 8, and we were being taught origami, and I remember when we created the pieces with the origami, I remember feeling like, "This is so exciting. This is
Mhm,
expressive to me," and I didn't know how to put that into words at that age, but I could feel that connection of, "I just did this, and I feel like this is exactly what speaks to me." And I think
mhm,
that those little voices in my head maybe traveled along because then I got into high school and I was in
mhm,
theater, and I didn't just do the acting part. I enjoyed the set building, the set design. I would stay hours after school. Um, I probably have more time invested into that than anything I've ever worked on for a 9 to 5 or
mhm,
but yeah, I think it's been just a little bit of your experience, same thing. It's been a little bit of people recognizing something in my work and in my passion that they would reflect back to me, and I would
mhm.
kind of take a moment and think, "Oh wow, well, this is a good thing. This is something inside me that wants to be seen."
So
And yeah, I think that's
who
followed me along.
who bought you your first paint set?
So what's funny is my husband's so amazing,
Uh-huh.
and he has bought me my first paint set. Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah, he bought me my first paint set. Um, I wasn't actually thinking that that would be the outlet I would go for.
Right.
I thought that I was wanting to get back into community theater or some other expression, but,
Mhm,
it just wasn't working with my time restraints and my lifestyle, so
mhm,
I did finally take to the canvas, and one of my first paintings was a painting of a deer, and it was almost abstract because there was a
mhm,
deer, but then I did florals around the deer. And what's interesting is I got away from the florals and the deer and went into working in water. I
mhm,
loved painting water scenes, and I did that for quite a while. And it wasn't until I started painting flowers again or floral paintings that I was like, "Oh, what was my first painting?" And I went back, and
mhm.
it was florals, and I thought that was
Isn't
so
that
funny.
something? Comes full
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Um,
When you think about, and I talked earlier about your Instagram and your social media, which you do a really good job, I think. You got some pretty neat posts and they're really creative and they're engaging, to your I guess we call them fans. I don't know. We call people that watch
I
an
know.
artist. I mean, are they fans or are they followers? It doesn't really matter. But do you believe that like a viewer like myself or someone needs to understand your personal story to fully understand your paintings? Or do you think, you know
I think that viewers bring their own story, and then maybe they bring maybe they learn about my story. Um, I would probably compare that to if you heard a song on the radio and you fell in love with the song and you just started listening to it so much. that you'll start to maybe want to know, okay, so what was this artist thinking or what was this writer writing about? I know I've done that. I've
Mhm.
listened to certain songs. I'm like, okay, I got to go back and do a little homework on what I'm singing. These lyrics, what am I saying? What is this artist saying? And that I think is probably more what I hope for with my work is that they would enjoy it enough or be moved by it with their own life, their own story, their own reason, and then maybe dig a little bit and find out about, what was I going through or why did I paint that piece?
Mhm.
I think that's, the door that I'd like to see open for people who enjoy my work.
On that same note, do you feel like more pressure today to share more of yourself publicly beyond the canvas? Because and before you answer that, if you think back to some of the great pieces of art in history, very few people knew the artist, right? We didn't have social media.
Mm,
I mean, gosh, MySpace kinda kicked it off. I don't know, I probably still have a MySpace page out there somewhere that I've
I think
forgotten
I do
about.
too
I
somewhere.
I probably look like I'm 18 or something,
Yeah, right. Mm.
but I mean, today, everything is I personally have kinda gotten past the pressure of social media. I kinda figure like, "Hey, if you like what we're doing, if you like how we're supporting artists or musicians or whatever, great. If you don't, that's okay. I don't mind." I don't feel the pressure to post all the time because, uh, my wife jokes with me all the time because when me and my bandmates make music, it sounds like '80s rock, and we're never gonna change, and nobody wants to really hear that anymore. And my wife's like, "Honey, you're a great musician. I've scored feature films and done different things." She's like, "Why don't you make something more current?" And I'm like, "No, I just don't want to." And I really don't care if people listen to what we make because we enjoy
Mhm.
it and it's what we do. So now I'm going to spin back to the question. So do you feel that pressure to start?
I can identify with
Yeah.
you in the sense of there is a sense of, you know, I feel that way as well as it's
Hmm.
not I care, but I don't care. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot of different pressures and things when I first started doing exhibits and such and running into some people who are very well educated when it comes to art, classic art, types of art. You just get questioned on different, your technique and who
Hmm.
who influences you, and my answers are always kind of funny because I'm over here in my little corner of the world saying, I influence me, and the things I see going on around me in my life influence
Yeah.
me, and I don't really feel the pressure to be anything for somebody else's to fit something for someone else. It's truly authentic. And I think that's why and it is a challenge when it comes back to your question about, how does social media help?
Hmm.
Is it challenging? Yeah, it's challenging, but there is a wrestling that's going on between your authentic self and then this persona and this, you know, this person that you feel like you want to be perceived as when you're out there.
Hmm.
And I'm in the middle of that wrestling match,
Yeah.
because there's parts of me that's like, here I am. This is because that authentic voice is going to be the voice that people will connect with. That honesty, they're going to connect with that part of you, and that's going to open the door to your work. But people can pick up on, if you're a little too polished, which if you
Hmm.
go way back into my Instagram, some of my stuff's pretty polished. And then I watched it and I critique my own self. And I'm like, you're not being authentic enough. You're not,
That's
and I'm
right.
still not.
Yeah.
Even if I'm putting out stuff now, I'm still like, oh, am I being authentic enough? Um, it's
Well, I mean,
challenging
let's
in
face
that
it.
sense.
You don't want to be like in your bathrobe and your hair messed up, and, curlers in your
Yeah.
hair. I mean, we can get as authentic as people want, but I mean, at the same time, you know, yet you want to maintain some sort of decorum or image that you're not just
Mhm.
crawling out of bed with a paintbrush. And I mean,
That's a
so
really good point. Yeah, that's a
you
good
know,
point. I've actually had to ask myself that specific question is how I don't want to be too I like polished. There's something
yeah,
about polished I like, and actually
sure,
it goes along with my, um, you know, my image and my message to the world through my work is that I do appreciate and love fine art, detail, you
Mhm.
know, beauty, bringing beauty through. I don't want it to be too loose and
Mhm.
unpolished. So yeah, there is a little bit of a balance. I agree with you on that.
But do you think social media has changed the way you think about your identity as an artist, or are you just, "I don't care, I'm doing my thing?"
It definitely has impacted me as an artist. I think it's actually helped me, encouraged me to grow more because I think if not, I would just be in my room with the door shut, and I don't think I anybody would probably know I create art.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So,
true.
but as far as how fortunately, I was an '80s child, so I got to see, life without social media, and I also got to see, life with social media, and I think what's troubling and tough for our youth is maybe that they're not really in touch with this amazing mind we have and the ability to be creative because they're over influenced by so many different um, ways of expressing yourself that's maybe just too easy or not really digging deeper. But yeah, I think social media is a powerful and exciting thing that can elevate your work, and I look at it that way, and I use it as a tool, really.
Yeah, I think you're right, I agree with everything you said. I think one of the things I notice is that, especially with young people, they get sad easy. If they post
Mhm.
something, whether they're an artist or a musician or whatever, the immediate response, if it's not there, if the likes and the follows and the comments aren't there, they're saddened by it. And and if you think about, I don't know how many painters, but I know how many billions of musicians are posting music on Spotify every day. And I think you really have to taper your expectation to it, no matter how good it is, right? You could have the best painting that anybody's ever seen in the world and post it, and you might get one like. But then
Mhm.
other days, you might post up a painting you did in 5 minutes that was maybe poignant at that time in history of what's going on, and you might get a million likes. So I think I wish people could get past the sadness and not worry too much about it and just put it out there. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's one thing. Uh, a couple things that I want to talk about on this show is, and I don't want to get too far into it before we talk about the living canvas letter, because I think this is a really cool idea. And I hope that it's doing well and you're starting to get some momentum and forward movement out of it because it seems like a real clever idea. So I'm going to let you tell the audience kind of how you came up with this, what it's all about, and why you did it.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about the living canvas letter. And honestly, this is one of the first few times I've really been able to share it more openly. Um, so, a lot of people enjoy my work, and I love having solo exhibits or posting it on social media. But I think what we're getting away from is the ability to take a moment receiving something almost like a, bouquet of roses or something very special, something luxurious, not a just a mailer, not just a newsletter, but just something very luxurious and very special that is valuable and collectible from an artist who is actively making work, who is out there. I have a piece that's in Fort Lauderdale in, the Nova, University down there in Fort Lauderdale in the president's office. So there's pieces that I'm doing on, installations for, public display, and I just was thinking, I'm like, "Man, what how could I get?" Because there's so many people who follow me that love my work that maybe can't obtain a huge painting from me. Um, how can I reach those people that enjoy my work? How can I reach them? And I thought, these 5 by 7 prints of fine art on fine art print paper that are collectible. So they are limited edition. I make them a limited edition. I have a spreadsheet where I'm keeping track of my editions, and they are signed. And these pieces, some of them are on private or public display. So they are owned in private collections, and that is part of what makes them so uniquely special. And so I'm trying to take those 5x7s on, printed, really fine paper. I have them, think of a wedding invitation. These are coming to people. They are very well put together. I do a museum style letter. The Living Canvas letter is basically a layout where it's almost set up like a newsletter. I do a personalized letter about the piece of art, where the art is being displayed publicly. And then I talk a little bit about my current work and some inside scoop. And then there's a QR code that comes with each subscription for the month, where the person can scan it, they can download as a screensaver or a wallpaper for
Hmm,
their phone, the art piece
cool.
monthly with the subscription. So it's an invitation into what would feel like being part of a museum, being part of a gallery for a moment every month.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought that that would be really special. It'd be a way to connect me to more collectors. And for people who can't, make the big jump of investing into fine art, it gives them an opportunity. These pieces could easily be matted and framed and hung in a home
That's really
as a
neat.
signed piece of art.
Yeah, I
So
mean, you
it's a
talk about being authentic. That's about as authentic as it can get, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was an opportunity for me to be a little bit more intimate with my work and people who collect, and it's ongoing. So it's an opportunity for me to continue to have more excitement about painting, more excitement about growing my work.
I love it.
And
I
that's
love the idea. I saw the whole I wanna call it mini skit that you did on Instagram about it, and I really like the idea, and I'm sure other people are gonna be stealing that now because it's such a great idea, but, uh,
that's fine.
yeah, I mean, bravo. I hope that that continues to grow and you get a lot of participation in it, and
Yeah,
like I
I've had
said,
a lot of success so far. A lot of
that's
success so
wonderful.
far.
That's
Mhm.
wonderful. I wanted to talk to you, and I emailed you earlier this week or month, and I asked you about this because a lot of people don't wanna talk about AI, like, right now. There's a lot of controversy. There's pros and cons and everything, but I was, like I often do in the evening, I was sitting in my room flipping through TV channels, and, I really hate to do anything to promote Amazon Prime because 'cause they're raising their prices again, which is ridiculous. But, I found this video on Amazon Prime, and the title of it was called AI versus Human: The Creative Experiment, and I thought, "Huh." It just had the word creativity in it, and I thought, "Well, that's kinda about what our podcast is, so let me check it out," and I started turning it on. So I thought, I'm gonna ask Leslie, um, what do you think about AI? Now, it's new, right? We don't have all the information. We don't know what's gonna happen next. But how do you feel, and there's probably pros and cons, I'm gonna let you speak for yourself. Is this something you're really excited about or you're cautiously optimistic about?
Well,
Go, and go.
and go. I am one to always be optimistic when these things arise. I feel that AI is interesting and powerful, and I've heard a little bit about that as well. The comparison of, you know, AI art versus human art, and I just feel, I say human, it's so weird.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think that AI will either be a tool for some people or it will be the thing that hangs some people. And I don't believe that the interesting the interesting side of being human is that we are incapable of doing things perfectly. Everything we touch, I mean, even when I paint, I'm not painting perfectly. If you compared the photographs or anything to anything I've painted, you're going to see the
Mhm.
errors. And maybe AI is being programmed to be imperfect. I don't know, but um I can't remember the last time I listened to a song and asked, "Okay, so who is this artist? Who what was the writer thinking?" and didn't go find out, and that meant something to me. And so the meaning, bringing some meaning to our work, bringing meaning and fingerprint and, our spirit to the things that we're creating
Mhm.
matters. And AI will and have to decide, is this AI or is this a human that made it? But if you try to take it one step further and you understand, okay, this was AI. Well, now it doesn't have meaning to me because I know that there was no creator behind this that was living, breathing, and has a spirit and put their heart and soul into this piece
Hmm.
or this music. And so now I feel like I can't connect to that because we don't connect to computers. We don't connect spiritually to computers. We connect to each other, and that's how we grow, and that's how we evolve and become better. I think AI is more of a tool, and I'm interested and excited to see what kind of a tool it becomes useful to us for. Maybe it's exposure, maybe it's creating videos that help us go viral with our art or our music. But I'm not really too concerned or worried about AI taking over our voice. I don't know. I just
Yeah. No, it's
inside me,
interesting.
I'm not so with that. Mhm.
During the show, during the episode, one of the artists would use AI to give him ideas. Um, and 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 I'm sure every painter, finds inspiration from something. You're walking through the park. I mean, you do a lot of florals, right? And some
Yeah.
some beautiful color pattern from nature appears, and you're like, "Ooh, let me take a picture of that. Then I'm gonna go home and paint it." Right? So you've got a picture that you're now trying to paint on canvas. So it's kind of the same thing, right? It's like there's some kind of inspiration. And then I thought, well, that's cheating, right? This is going through my head while I'm watching the show. Not accusing anybody of cheating.
Hmm.
But then I thought, well,
No, 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 I love the thoughts, yeah.
I've been
Mhm.
a musician since I was 8, and I'm 57 now. So I've been exposed. I've heard so many songs in my career. And every time I write a song, Leslie, I think, oh, that kind of sounds like Van Halen. What am I doing? Maybe that was in my head. I don't want to do that. I don't want everybody to go, that sounds like Van Halen. So it's like your brain stores all this information, and then sometimes you wake up and you're like, I'm going to paint something today, or I'm going to make some music today. And we're still kind of using suppressed memories to build that new project. So I've thought about this till I'm blue in the face, and I'm like, well, I guess if somebody just types in a code and prints out a picture on AI and then hangs it up and they're super proud of it, I don't like that. But if they're using it, like you said, as a tool to help in some way, to help them fine tune their craft or maybe help them visualize something that they were struggling with, I get that part. Um, I know in the music world, there's a huge controversy right now that you got your anti-AI people firmly standing in their lane. And then you've got the AI people going, "Let us in. We're creative. We're being creative." So there's this battle going on. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's probably interesting to remember as well that AI is a product of human creation anyway.
Mhm.
Um, it's not its own creative. It's a product of so I get what you're saying though. I think that there's space for both. I
Yeah,
really do. I think why not? Let if there's people out there that want an AI produced piece of art and they're fascinated by that and they're fascinated with AI and that's what makes them feel whole. Okay.
yeah.
And I know that there's always going to be those who genuinely appreciate authentic work and it has holds meaning
Mhm.
just as much. So, I think there's space for both.
I think I agree with that. I think it's challenging on the music side because algorithms, AI
Mhm.
knows how to make the best algorithm. So the song can be terrible, but it gets on Spotify and Spotify promotes the algorithm, and you'll get millions of views, and which creates revenue for that artist. So I would think, maybe a painter who's trying to sell their work, maybe they're trying to sell that work for $25 or $20,000, depending on what the value is to them and their investment and sweat equity, developing that product. But I would think you don't want the market saturated with things that may reduce or limit your ability to make a living. It's whether you're a starving artist, right? Or like
Mhm.
me, I don't really care if my music makes any money because I'm a energy efficiency engineer and I have a great living and a great salary coming in all the time. And my music's just for fun. It's funny every time I go do my taxes, I get this little thing from TuneCore. It's like, you made $86 last year on royalties from your music. And I'm like, I did? And I'm just like, that's comical. But of course, that's like a billion streams to get that $86 because you get like 1/3 billionth third of a cent for every time somebody plays it. So I think that's that fear, right? Like we're being replaced. But I think, when you think of the living canvas letter, nobody wants
There's
an
an
AI.
opportunity.
Yeah, nobody
Right.
wants an AI print. They wanna know this is
Mhm.
coming from Leslie Hiatt, and they're a fan
Mhm.
of Leslie Hiatt. So
Yeah.
it's definitely an evolving thing.
Yeah, I definitely see, I think it's exciting, I don't,
Definitely.
I feel that AI has the ability to reveal true artists even more, and as far as the algorithms go, that's as an artist, we're having to become experts at so many things such
Oh,
as, media, AI, and all these apps and things. And I feel like it's a challenge. AI
mhm.
challenges us to become smarter,
Yeah.
become better at your craft, you know, I've had to learn so many things on my own recently. I'm shocked. But, putting out 200 to 500 videos a week is actually how you beat the algorithms. These are the things I'm hearing online. How do I do that? How do I expand? How do I not saturate my work that I'm already doing with trying to accomplish 200 to 500 reels? Do I open
Right.
another social media platform of my own stuff? So there's all these challenging questions that I think just forces us either to decide to get off our butts and learn more and meet the challenge or feel bad and get lost in the game.
Yeah, you gotta decide, do you wanna be a painter and spend your time painting, or do you wanna be a social influencer, right? And 'cause
A little bit.
these posts, that you create, and I can tell that you put a lot of work into a lot of them on Instagram. They took time. They probably
Yeah.
took your whole afternoon and 50 retakes. How many times did you record and you mess something up, and then you gotta go back and do it again? Because when I, make music videos with my music friends, we have to do it like a million times. Somebody messes up, hits a wrong note, it's like, "Oh my god, we gotta start over." It's the whole day just to get a
Yeah.
30-second reel, and so it's like, I really
But
I'm a painter. Let me
what's
paint.
amazing and I'll touch on that because I've had to process that myself, and
Mhm,
you're not wrong in how much time is invested into the craft versus what we can actually multiply online.
mm,
And some of these apps, I wish I could be specific about which ones, but there are apps out there where you can upload a video and AI will take your video and create, 20 videos out
yeah,
of that
yeah,
one video. And I have learned in posting on social media, I haven't had a chance to implement a lot of what I've been learning, but that will be coming in time. Again, something that takes time. Is that posting you can post old videos over, like, 3
mhm,
times. You can
yeah,
post you can do 1 video and make 20 videos out of it and set those on a schedule to post over a week's time,
mhm,
and all of that matters. All of that counts. So, yes, it takes a lot of time to create 1 painting. I could video it, and then I do the cap cut, and I'm editing it, and I'm sending it off to social media land, and then okay, got to do another painting. It's not actually like that for me anymore. I'm starting to learn that I can take that one painting and I can get maybe 20, 25 videos out of that one painting that you wouldn't really know. I could
yeah,
go zooming really close in. I could just take you know, and so I think it again forces us to learn and educate ourselves on how can we multiply our efforts and not drain ourselves as artists because I've got to creating, as you know, as a musician, creating is extremely taxing and you
oh,
can't
yeah.
create nonstop. I
And you don't
can't
wanna
just
do
sit in
garbage, right? You
yeah
wanna do
I can't,
real stuff.
it takes inspiration. I can't just sit in my studio and paint till my eyes ball out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Let me
I
ask you a
think
curveball follow-up to that because that's a really good point. So now we have this software, and I'm familiar with what you're talking about because we utilize things like that too. where it'll take one thing and make 10 different videos and then do some posting. So if everybody starts doing that, let's say that the world starts making 20 videos of the same painting, doesn't the algorithm then adjust accordingly because more people are posting and now you got to do 1,000 videos instead of 100? So I'm thinking like, where does it end? You know,
I know.
it's the
Um,
algorithm is in control of everybody's ability
I
to.
the most recent information I have on that is that, and I could be totally wrong, but I've been keeping my ears open to feedback on that. And Instagram, I think the algorithms of Instagram have kind of maxed out, and I've heard now
Mhm.
TikTok is where it's at as far as sharing your work, and I need to
Right.
be pushing my stuff over to TikTok a lot more. So I think it's just, you're always chasing. We're always
Yeah.
gonna be chasing, um, but ultimately, while we chase online, while we chase on
Mhm.
social media, guess what? Nobody is really doing. Nobody's going out there and looking to put their stuff on permanent public display in museums and art galleries because they're too worried about social media. They're too worried. But
Exactly.
the analog style of living is dead, but it's only dead because people are not realizing that it's an opportunity too.
Mhm.
I do a lot of sales from people who come to my exhibits that never
Mhm.
even see me online. So
Isn't that
I think
refreshing?
yes,
Isn't that
very
refreshing when somebody comes in and it's like an older guy who doesn't have Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and they come in and see your painting and they're like, "Oh my god, this would look so good in our office or in our entryway of our lobby or in my home. And who did
yes,
this?" And you're just like, "Oh my god, it's still real." I don't wanna
yeah,
lose that. I don't wanna lose that, and it's just like a musician. I used to love it when people would come up when we were taking a break and they go, "You guys sound so good. This has been great listening to you." And now that seems to, like you said, I look for, like, on our blog and our different media outlets, I look for artists that perform live a lot. I don't wanna hear your Spotify song as much. I'm sure it's great, but I don't know how you did it. I don't know the authenticity, so I love artists that they have a following and they play out live, and I think that speaks to your, when you have a show or gallery where somebody can come and see your paintings, it's the same thing.
yeah,
You feel much better with the human interaction than the social media interaction, to me. So, it
yeah,
sounds like we're kind of in the same, like, we're waiting to see what happens, we're embracing the excitement of it, and we'll just see how it unfolds. That's
exactly.
that's
I
about it.
think so. I think
Yeah.
so.
So if someone could walk away from your work and understanding one thing about you as a person, what would you hope it is?
Well, two things. First, you mentioned the crayons in the beginning of this conversation. Um, and it immediately makes me think of childhood. Crayons say I can even think of the smell of a crayon. It's just, I think that is kind of lost on us as we continue to go through this life journey. And we have to keep discovering ourselves. We have to keep exploring this creative expression, our minds. Oh my gosh. I mean, we are walking around with AI. We are computers in the
Mm.
sense, and we don't even take the time. We're so caught up in our mundane, and we need to be expressing ourselves. It matters. It impacts the world. Um, and then secondly, I think, one of the driving reasons for me to create my work is today the world is chipping away at beauty everywhere you go. It's
Boy,
just chipping away. We're
well said.
going from, we're LED lights and modern lines everywhere.
Mhm.
The old world gardens, the healing, florals that are climbing up historic carvings and statues, and, the richness of timeless spaces that are in the public eye. It's being chipped away. It's
Yeah.
being come and we're okay with it. I mean, they just redid our neighborhood signs, and we went from these, rocks and yeah, they were aged, but they were beautiful,
Mhm.
to now it's just a flat sign with very regular font.
Mhm.
Nothing is special, no columns, nothing is special. And we're slowly okay with that. All the cars you go on the road, all the cars are gray, black, and white now.
Pretty
We're
sterile.
really Yeah, we're really losing the creative expression, and I think that is a huge driving force for me to continue to pour into my work.
That's amazing. I never really stopped, no pun intended, stopped to smell the roses about what you just said. It is. I mean, and when you're speaking about street signs, we used to have these really creative, cool, s they had a lot of character to the street sign. Now they're just like the green
Yep.
sign,
And
and
it's very subtle. It's very
yeah.
subtle, and we don't really realize it, but, beauty inspires beauty. Beauty multiplies. So if I'm pouring out people come and see my work. My work was hung up alongside other artists, and a lot of the other artists are very contemporary or abstract, clean, modern, which is beautiful. But wow, did my work stand out. I was actually a little bit like, "Ooh, maybe mine's too much." And when you do that as an artist, I don't ever look at other art usually. I'm inspired by other art, but typically it's overstimulating for me to take in too much other art.
Mhm.
Um, but then when I do get a chance to see what's going on out there, what's being made out there, I'm like, "Wow, I'm pretty gaudy."
I wouldn't say
I
that. I think,
I've got some heavy frames and texture and all, it's just interesting.
gaudy might be a bunch of Campbell soup cans. I mean, it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? I mean,
Right,
some of
yeah.
the art that I've questioned in my lifetime, I'm like, "What is what? This is art?" But I mean, I don't know. I love the florals that you're doing too. I mean, they're really, really they stand out. I mean, I look through so many pages. I was searching for artists to come on the show, and I was just like,
Wow.
"Oh, this just seems like" you have no idea. I mean, we really scoured through artist pages, and we were like, "This is exactly who we wanna come on the show because she's doing all the things that we're doing just in kind of the art painting type realm." So,
Right.
I really wanna thank you for taking time to come on our show today. I wanna be cognizant of your time. We try to keep, the shows around 30 minutes. I always run late because 'cause I'm windy. I start talking about crayons or my grandkids or something, so I appreciate you being patient. But I really, really, truly appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna keep following what you're doing. I wanna keep seeing the evolution of the living canvas letter, and I hope that the more people, um before we go, how can tell us how people can find out more about the living canvas letter? Is it strictly through Instagram, or is there a website?
Well, if you go to Instagram, there's a link to my website where it's instant, like, you just click on the Living Canvas Letter subscription, and it'll just pop right open, and you can subscribe. It's, um, very affordable, and it's, an opportunity for people to have something very authentic, and, I just think it's an opportunity for me to reach out to the people who are following and collecting art. And it's a great gift too if you know someone who you love that's enjoys art. It's a great, surprisingly unique gift, I think.
Any final thoughts you wanna share with your fans or your audience before we, wrap up today's episode?
Um, just, I just really appreciate anybody who takes interest in my work. It's an honor for me, and my work is doing its job if it's reaching people and making an impact, and I'm greatly appreciative of that.
Leslie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've
Thank
enjoyed the
you.
conversation, and I hope you come back again one day. If you got something else going on, we'd love to share it with everybody. So,
Thank you so much, Brian. It's been a pleasure.
all right. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Inside the Creative Mind with Brian Jones. Keep exploring, keep creating, and don't forget to tune in for the next 30 minutes of inspiration streaming on all platforms. Your next spark of creativity is just a play button away.